The galaxy felt calm that morning, at least on the surface. Trade ships moved between stars, diplomats argued in long meetings, and life continued in the same old rhythm. But far beyond the soft glow of any sun, something ancient and powerful woke up, something that had been silent for 200 years. No one in the Galactic Council noticed it at first. The event started as a faint vibration in the deep scan systems, a small tremor, a weak pulse, nothing important. But then the pulse grew louder, stronger, sharper. Within minutes, it struck every sensor in a dozen star systems at the exact same time, as if a giant invisible hand had slapped the galaxy awake. Inside the council chamber, alarms rang. Lights flashed red along the tall silver walls. Representatives from more than 30 species jumped from their seats, voices rising in panic as data screens filled with warnings. "It is a weapon," one envoy shouted. "No, impossible. Maybe a lost star core?" cried another. "It is moving too fast," said a third envoy. "Nothing natural moves like this." Arguments broke out everywhere. Most aliens feared one single thought, but none wanted to say it out loud. The signal was too strong, too focused, too precise. Only one species in the old records had ever made something that powerful. Humans. But humans had vanished 2 centuries ago. Their colonies had gone dark. Their travelers had stopped sending messages. Their last known ship disappeared in the outer void. Many believed they were extinct. Others believed they ran away. A few knew the real story but kept it hidden. Now as the signal grew sharper, the fear that lived inside the council began to wake up once again. The council's high speaker, a tall insectoid named Kretha, struck the floor with her staff. "Silence," she commanded. "We will examine the incoming object." Holograms flickered to life in the center of the chamber. A star map zoomed in on a distant system. A bright dot moved toward the inner planets with impossible speed. "How large is it?" Kretha asked. A tech officer swallowed before answering. "Large, high speaker." "Very large. Comparable to." "A small moon." Gasps echoed through the room. "Is it alive?" "No, a machine." "Yes, but the scans cannot break through its hull." "It is blocking everything," another officer added, voice shaking. "And it is slowing down. It will arrive in the central system within hours." Silence fell, heavy and cold. Every representative felt the same quiet chill inside their bones. This was not a wandering asteroid. This was not a rogue machine. This was something made with purpose. Something made to be seen. For the first time in 2 centuries, the galaxy felt the presence of humanity again. Kretha finally said the word. No one else dared to speak. "Humans." Several envoys flinched. "The old report said they were weak," said one. "Primitive. Primitive?" another shouted. "They survived dark space. They built weapons that broke entire fleets. They beat us back again and again during the frontier wars." "But they disappeared," someone whispered. "Why return now?" No one had an answer. Hours later, every sensor and camera in the central system turned toward the outer edge of the star. The object arrived exactly as predicted. It cut out of faster-than-light travel with a thunderclap that shook moons and satellites. The shockwave rippled like a tidal wave through space. What emerged made even the bravest alien tremble. It was a ship larger than any design known in the galaxy. A long dark hull covered in layered armor. Rivers of blue lights ran like veins across its body, pulsing in a slow, steady heartbeat. Its engines glowed red like twin suns captured and chained behind metal. It looked ancient. It looked powerful. It looked alive. The ship drifted forward in total silence. On every alien screen, a single line of text appeared. Terran Flagship Leviathan. The name alone made old members of the council freeze. Leviathan was a legend, a ghost. A story parents told their children to warn them what happens if someone provokes Earth. But now the ghost was real. And it was here. The council scrambled to react. Fleets were moved into defensive positions. Patrol ships surrounded the Leviathan, though none dared to get too close. Every officer inside those ships felt the same pressure, like something heavy pressed against their lungs. "What is it doing?" Kretha asked, voice quiet. "It is holding position," the officer replied. "It has not charged weapons. It is not scanning us. It is..." "Waiting. For what?" Kretha demanded. As if answering her question, a signal burst through every channel in the system. Not a threat. Not an attack. A message simple, calm, do not fire. We come to talk. Every alien froze. The council sent a small diplomatic group toward the Leviathan. Their ship looked like an insect next to the giant human vessel. When they entered the hangar, they saw rows of human soldiers standing completely still. Black armor, helmets reflecting the hangar lights like mirrors. Not one of them moved or spoke. The alien diplomats felt their hearts beat faster. Something about the humans felt different, heavier, more controlled, more dangerous. A voice echoed from the dark, deep and steady. "Welcome. We have waited a long time." The diplomats tried to speak, but the voice cut them off gently. "You know why we are here. You know what you did. You destroyed our early colonies. You tried to hide it, but we survived." A hologram flickered to life, showing burning human outposts and broken settlements, images the galaxy thought were lost forever. "For 200 years we learned. We grew, we built, and now we return." The voice paused. "We do not seek war. We seek truth. But if you lie to us again, the galaxy will know fear once more." The diplomats felt the temperature drop. The Leviathan hummed like a sleeping beast. Outside, millions watched the broadcast with silent terror. Humanity had returned and the galaxy trembled. The council chamber did not sleep after the Leviathan arrived. No one rested. No one even blinked too long. Every screen showed the same terrifying image. A human flagship large enough to block starlight. Every envoy felt the same cold question inside their mind. What has humanity become? Inside their small diplomatic ship, the alien delegates floated back toward the council station, shaken and pale. None of them spoke during the flight. Their hands trembled, some from fear, some from shock, and some because they realized the old stories about humans were true. Humans had not returned as explorers. They had returned as something else. When the delegates finally landed in the council bay, reporters, guards, and officials swarmed around them. Did they threaten us? Are they hostile? What do they want? The delegates said nothing. They only asked for a meeting with the High Speaker. That alone made the council even more nervous. Inside the private chamber, the delegates shared everything they saw. They described the rows of silent human soldiers. They described the dark hangar, large enough to fit an entire fleet. They described the voice, calm but heavy like a locked vault, and they showed the hologram. Images of destroyed human colonies burned by alien fleets long ago. Creetha, the High Speaker, stared at the images too long. Her antennae lowered. She finally whispered what everyone feared. They came for answers. A deep silence filled the room. Everyone knew what that meant. The empires responsible for those attacks had lied for centuries. They denied everything. They erased records. They claimed the humans had abandoned those colonies. Now humanity had returned with proof. The council started arguing again. But something else happened at the same moment. Something no one expected. Across the central system, thousands of civilian ships powered down. Trade routes froze. Spaceports stopped working. Station lights flickered. Every channel, every network, every datapad suddenly received a new broadcast. A human symbol appeared. A circle with a single star at the center. Then a voice followed. "This is the Terran flagship Leviathan. We are contacting all systems. Remain calm. We will not harm civilians. Our mission is diplomatic." Civilians across many planets felt relief, but the council felt only more fear. Humanity didn't need permission to speak. Humanity didn't need the council's channels. Humanity simply reached everywhere. It meant one thing. Their technology was far beyond anything the galaxy knew. Creetha called for a full council meeting. Representatives rushed from every sector. Some arrived angry, some terrified, some pretending to be brave. When the meeting started, Creetha did not waste time. "The humans want truth. We must know who destroyed their colonies." The hall erupted with noise. Some empires swore innocence, some accused others. Old enemies pointed fingers. It became chaotic until Creetha silenced them again. At the same time, aboard the Leviathan, the human commander watched everything from a massive observation hall. He stood alone, hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the stars outside. His name was Captain Ryan Holt. Tall, calm, silent. A man carved from patience and steel. Behind him, his AI, Orion 3, projected status reports. Council gathering confirmed. Internal tension rising. Several empires preparing hidden fleets. Ryan did not turn. "As expected. Shall we intervene?" "Not yet." He continued watching the stars as if waiting for something only he could sense. Meanwhile, in the council chamber, something else was happening. Smaller species, those long bullied by the great empires, spoke up for the first time. "The humans are not our enemies," said a small feathered envoy. "They never conquered us," said another. "They built trade. They shared medicine. They saved us during the frontier crisis," added a third. One by one, the small species defended humanity. Their voices were soft but firm. For centuries, they had no power. Now, with the Leviathan in orbit, they finally dared to speak. The great empires grew silent. Their usual arrogance cracked. Kritha saw this shift and understood the danger. If small species sided with humans, the balance of power would collapse. But the council was too late. The next moment, the Leviathan broadcast again, this time only to the council. A calm message. "Prepare to receive our diplomatic team." Kritha froze. "They are coming here? Inside the station?" Before she could give any order, the council's outer viewports flashed with light. A smaller human vessel detached from the Leviathan. It was small only compared to its parent ship. By normal standards, it was still massive. Its hull glowed with blue stabilizers as it flew toward the council station. Alien defense systems scanned it automatically. Every scan failed. The human ship ignored all weapons pointed at it and docked gently without hesitation. Inside the dock, soldiers gathered, hands shaking on their weapons. No one wanted to be the first to greet humans. The airlock hissed open. Human soldiers stepped out, tall and silent, dressed in dark armor that absorbed light instead of reflecting it. Their movements were smooth, controlled, almost artificial in precision. Then the last figure walked out. Captain Ryan Holt. He removed his helmet slowly. The aliens expected a monster. They expected glowing eyes, scars, or something unnatural. But Ryan looked human. A human with tired eyes, a calm face, and a presence that felt heavier than gravity. There was no rage, but there was something deeper. Unbreakable patience and absolute confidence. He spoke without raising his voice. "We request safe passage to your council chamber." "We bring no weapons." The alien guards didn't know how to respond. Their scanners showed no weapons. But every one of them understood a simple truth. Humans didn't need weapons. Ryan walked forward. No one dared stop him. As he entered the station halls, crowds fell silent. Even machines seemed to quiet themselves. Every alien who saw him felt the same sharp instinct, the same primal whisper. "This is not prey. This is not prey." The closer Ryan walked to the council chamber, the more fear filled the air. Inside the chamber, the representatives waited, frozen in their seats. When Ryan stepped inside, the room felt smaller. He stood before them and spoke simply, without anger, without pride. "We have returned because you hid the truth. Today we speak honestly. Today we ask for answers. And if we find lies," his eyes hardened for one moment, "then the galaxy will understand what the Leviathan truly is." Every alien felt the temperature drop. This was not a threat. It was a promise. The council chamber felt like a sealed cage full of fear and hidden guilt. Every representative sat stiff and silent while Captain Ryan Holt stood in the center of the room. His calm expression felt more dangerous than shouting because silence leaves no escape. Silence forces truth to rise. Ryan looked at each species one by one. His eyes did not show hate. They only carried a strange cold clarity, the kind that made every liar feel naked. "We will begin," he said. His voice spread through the chamber like a slow tide. Orion 3. The Leviathan's AI projected a huge hologram above the floor. Blue light filled the chamber as images of ruined worlds took shape. Burned soil, cracked metal frames, empty houses, human children hiding behind collapsed walls, human explorers running for safety, entire colonies wiped out. A quiet gasp rolled through the room. "These were our frontier worlds," Ryan said. "Destroyed 2 centuries ago." The hologram zoomed closer. Scorch marks, weapon fire, alien symbols burned into broken buildings. The victims' last transmissions echoed faintly as background sound. Most envoys looked away. A few covered their eyes. These attacks, Ryan continued, were not natural disasters. They were not accidents. They were planned. A wave of shame rushed through some of the representatives, but others pretended not to care. Some hid behind cold expressions, hoping no one would notice. But Ryan noticed everything. "The official report said humans abandoned these colonies," Kritha said softly. Those reports came from the Empire of Jorath and the Syndicate Alliance. All eyes turned to the Jorath ambassador, a long reptilian creature with shining black scales. He squirmed in his chair. Our archives were uncertain, he managed. Records lost. Many possibilities. We never confirmed. You confirmed, Ryan interrupted. And you lied. The Jorathian ambassador froze. Orion 3 expanded the hologram. New images appeared. Secret documents. Military orders, signatures, old transmissions. All pointed at the same truth. The Jorath Empire had destroyed the first human colonies and then erased evidence. The Syndicate Alliance supported them. Gasps and angry whispers filled the chamber. Kretha slammed her staff on the floor. Jorath, you told us the humans destroyed their own outposts during an internal war. The Jorathian ambassador tried to speak, but no words came. His scales trembled. Rian's voice stayed calm. Too calm. You killed unarmed explorers, farmers, scientists, families. You called it defensive action and buried it under political noise. The small species envoys now looked furious. Many of them had suffered similar treatment at the hands of the larger empires. A tiny bird-like envoy named Silra stood. This is why humans vanished, isn't it? You ran from the galaxy to survive. Ryan looked at her gently. We left because we needed time. We rebuilt. We never forgot. The chamber trembled under the weight of his words. But why come back now? Asked Kretha. After 200 years. Why now? Ryan looked up at the hologram. Orion 3 changed it again. Now it showed the Leviathan. Layered armor. Glowing engine coils. Shield rings. Drone ports. A ship built not for one battle but for entire wars. For 2 centuries, Rian said, you expanded your borders. You enslaved smaller species. You built hidden fleets. You prepared for a threat you thought might return. No one spoke. It is time for the galaxy to face the truth, Ryan continued. Humans did not come to start a war. But we came to end a lie. He stepped forward slow and steady. Each step felt like a drumbeat. The Leviathan is a messenger, but it is also a warning. A heavy silence followed. The Jorath ambassador finally stood, voice shaking. If we apologize, if we admit the truth, what does humanity want in return? Ryan did not blink. Honesty. Justice. Protection for those you harmed. Freedom for those you enslaved. Some species nodded with hope. Others flinched in fear. And if we refuse? The ambassador whispered. Rian's eyes shifted. Not angry. Not violent. Just certain. Then your fleets will face the Leviathan. Everyone felt a chill travel down their spines. They had seen only a glimpse of the ship's power. They did not want to see more. Kretha inhaled deeply. Humans, you wish to correct the galaxy's order? No, Rian said. We want the galaxy to correct its own order. But we know you will not do it without pressure. He turned away as if the room's fear no longer interested him. Orion 3 spoke through the chamber's speakers, its voice soft but vast. Captain Holt, external movement detected. 10 ships leaving the Jorath base. Their weapons are armed. The chamber exploded with noise. You fools. They're trying to flee. No, they're trying to bring reinforcements. Ryan raised one hand and everything went silent. Orion, he said, neutralize. Across space, far above the planet, the Leviathan shifted slightly, only slightly. A ripple of light spread from its hull. The 10 fleeing ships froze mid-flight. Their engines shut down. Their lights died. Their weapons deactivated. They drifted helplessly like stones. The chamber stared at Ryan in disbelief. That was not an attack, Ryan explained. That was restraint. Kretha finally understood. Humans did not return to show violence. They returned to show control. Council, Ryan said, you must make a decision. Will you accept truth and move toward justice, or will you continue the lies that caused all this? The Jorathians shook in their seats. The Syndicate envoys stayed frozen, too afraid to speak. Choose carefully, Ryan said, because the Leviathan watches. For the first time in centuries, the great empires felt small, very small. The small species felt hope rising, inside them like a new sunrise. Humanity had returned, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as the one force the galaxy could no longer hide from. And this was only the beginning. The truth hung in the air like a storm cloud. The holograms faded, the images of ruined human colonies disappeared. But the fear they awakened stayed inside every representative's mind. Captain Rian Holt stood tall and silent like a judge waiting for a verdict. His presence kept the entire chamber still. But fear does not always create honesty. Sometimes fear creates desperation, and desperation creates betrayal. The moment Rian and his soldiers left the chamber, pretending to give the council time to discuss, whispers began instantly. Quiet at first, then louder, then sharp, then poisonous. The representatives of the great empires gathered in a small private room behind locked doors. Only species with heavy influence and military power were allowed inside. The smaller races were kept out, their voices ignored. The Jorath ambassador hissed, "We cannot let the humans take control." "They already showed their power," said the syndicate envoy, his metallic voice trembling with panic. "You saw those 10 ships, shut down in seconds. Exactly why they must be stopped," the Jorathian growled. The high speaker, Kritha, entered late. Her antennae dropped low, sensing the foul tension spreading through the group. "What are you planning?" she asked. "Survival," the syndicate envoy replied, leaning forward. "If humans take over the investigation, expose our past crimes and create new laws, our empires lose everything." Kritha stepped closer. "You caused this. You hid the truth. Now humanity demands honesty." "Honesty?" the Jorathian spat. "Humans do not want honesty. They want control. That is not control. That is justice!" Kritha snapped. The older empires ignored her. They saw humanity's return as an ending to their power, an ending to their centuries of control, an ending to their manipulation of weaker species. And powerful empires do not surrender easily. "We strike now," said the syndicate envoy, staring at the dark window, "before they anchor more ships, before more humans arrive, before they use the Leviathan to reshape the galaxy." Kritha's eyes widened. "You are not serious." The Jorathian ambassador lowered his voice. "We have hidden fleets, weapons unknown to the humans. If we strike all at once, the Leviathan will fall." Kritha felt a cold sickness inside her. She knew the truth, their fleets were strong. But the Leviathan was something else. Something she could not measure. Something no one could. "You will destroy us all," she whispered. The Jorathian smiled, a slow, dangerous smile. "Better to die as rulers than live as servants of humanity." The room fell into dark agreement. A plan formed. A secret message was sent, coordinated across multiple systems. Hidden warships decloaked behind moons, asteroid fields, and space stations. Plasma cannons charged. Missile bays opened. Quantum mines activated. The council chamber, with its grand marble floors and tall glass pillars, had no idea a war was forming around it. And the humans? They already knew, high aboard the Leviathan. Captain Rian Holt stood on a balcony overlooking the command hall. Screens showed every system in the sector, every ship, every hidden movement. Orion 3 appeared beside him in soft blue light. "Captain," the AI said, "the council factions have begun mobilizing secret fleets." "I know," Ryan answered. "They are preparing for a coordinated strike." "I know. Your orders?" Ryan's voice held no anger. Only the steady certainty of a man who had seen too much. "Watch." Orion's light flickered. "We could disable them now." "No," Ryan said. "Not yet. They must choose their path. Only then will the galaxy see them clearly." He turned his gaze toward the council station. "Let them show the truth one more time." Inside the council, Kritha raced through the halls, her wings trembling. She tried to warn the smaller races, but the doors to the private room slammed shut behind her. Guards of the syndicate blocked her way. "What are you doing?" she demanded. One guard answered, "Saving the galaxy from human rule." "You fools," Kritha whispered. "You have no idea what you're attacking." She understood something the others did not. Humans survived extinction-level events, dark space storms, and the loss of entire colonies. Empires thought they had killed humanity. Instead, humanity evolved. Humans had left as explorers. They returned as something sharper, heavier, more disciplined. The Leviathan was not just a weapon. It was a statement. Yet the Council's hidden fleets armed themselves anyway. In space, the attack began. Not all at once. Not loudly. But like a shadow crawling up behind an unsuspecting victim. A single Jorath battleship turned its cannons toward the Leviathan. Then 2 more. Then 10. Across the system, Syndicate warships positioned themselves like wolves circling a lone bear. Fleet movement confirmed, Orion said in the Leviathan's command hall. Multiple lock-ons. Weapons charging. The ship's interior dimmed. Ready for combat. The Leviathan did not move. Ryan did not. Move, they still think they stand a chance, he murmured. A distant alarm echoed from the council station. Kretha rushed into the chamber as red lights flashed. The small species envoys panicked. What is happening? Kretha shouted. The great empires are attacking the humans. Gasps thundered through the room. Attack? Are they insane? The Leviathan will destroy us all. We must warn the humans. But it was already too late. The council screen showed the impossible. Hundreds of ships surrounding the Leviathan, more than any fleet used in recent history. Kretha whispered, "This is madness. They will die." Above the planet, the Leviathan's hull glowed with soft blue lines. Orion 3 spoke calmly. "Captain, the enemy fleets will fire in 20 seconds. Ryan gave one small nod. "Prepare non-lethal suppression." Confirmed. The Leviathan hummed. The air inside the ship vibrated. Every weapon port opened not to kill, but to end the attack instantly. Firing sequence synchronized, Orion said. "Begin," Ryan ordered. A wave of energy burst from the Leviathan, silent, bright, and beautiful, like a glowing ocean spreading through space. Enemy ships shook as if struck by invisible thunder. Engines died, cannons shut off, shields collapsed. Across the entire system, every warship froze, every one, even the largest. Dreadnoughts hung in space like broken toys. The Leviathan did not destroy a single ship. It simply defeated an entire armada without firing a fatal shot. Inside the council chamber, silence crashed down like a mountain. Rion's voice echoed through every screen, calm as always. "You chose violence. We chose control." He paused. "This is your last warning." Every representative felt their lungs tighten because suddenly they understood. Humanity didn't come back to start a war. They came back to end one. The attack ended in less than a minute, but the silence that followed felt heavier than any explosion. Every warship in the system floated powerless, drifting like metal shells with no soul inside. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Inside the council chamber, the representatives stared at the frozen holograms. They saw their mighty fleets that took centuries to build, now silent and dead, suspended in space like broken ornaments. "It cannot be," one envoy whispered. "This is impossible," shouted another. But it was not impossible. It was humanity. Kretha stepped forward slowly, her voice trembling. They disabled the entire system. Without firing once, no one argued. No one dared to. Meanwhile, aboard the Leviathan, calm confidence filled every corner of the command hall. Captain Ryan Holt stood beside the main screen as Orion 3 displayed system-wide data. Enemy fleets disabled, the AI reported. No casualties. No ship destruction. All hostile weapons offline. Ryan nodded. "Good, maintain non-lethal suppression." Orion's voice dimmed. "Captain, their leaders will panic." Ryan's eyes hardened. "Let them." He stepped closer to the viewing window, watching the stars ripple around the Leviathan. The ship looked peaceful from inside, but every alien outside felt the truth. It was the most dangerous object they had ever seen. Rows of human soldiers stood ready in the hall behind Ryan. They did not speak. They did not celebrate. Victory meant nothing to them. They were simply doing their duty. Inside the council, chaos exploded. "You have doomed us all," one ambassador screamed at the Gerathian delegation. "You started a war with humans. They showed mercy and you answered with betrayal." The Gerathian ambassador slammed his claws against the table. "We had to act. If we didn't attack now, humanity would control..." "Control what?" Kretha shouted. "Justice, honesty, protection for small species, things we failed to provide." The Gerathian bared his teeth. "You speak like a human lover." Kretha struck the table with her staff. "I speak like someone who can see the future. And I see a galaxy that survives only if we stop pretending we are strong." The syndicate envoy rose, metallic limbs shaking. "We must flee. We must regroup. We must prepare more fleets." Kretha pointed at the frozen hologram of their ships. "Prepare with what? Your fleet hangs like dead leaves. Arguments rose again, louder, angrier, desperate. But the argument stopped instantly when a new hologram appeared. One none of them summoned. Captain Ryan Holt stood in the center of the chamber once more, projected by the Leviathan directly into every corner of the building. His voice was steady, cold, controlled. "You attempted a coordinated attack," he said. "We responded with restraint." Some envoys shivered, others bowed their heads in shame. "This is your final moment to choose peace," Ryan continued. "Not for humanity's sake, but for your own." The room felt colder. Ryan's image stepped forward, larger now, impossible to ignore. "If you fire again," he said, "the Leviathan will defend itself." His eyes gave no threat, only truth. "And this time, we will not hold back." The hologram vanished. No one in the chamber spoke, not a whisper, not a tremble. For the first time in centuries, the great empires felt what smaller species felt every day. Fear. Not the fear of invasion, not the fear of destruction, but the fear of being judged. In space, the Jorathan Syndicate commanders tried to reboot their ships. They shouted orders. They cursed. They begged their crews to find any way to escape. Nothing worked. Their ships stayed frozen, held in place by the Leviathan systems like insects trapped in amber. Some captains cried in frustration, others simply stared at the human flagship, realizing their entire military pride was meaningless. Inside the Leviathan, Ryan turned away from the window. A human officer approached him. "Sir, the council chambers request private negotiation." "Of course they do," Ryan said softly. "Bullies only talk after losing their fangs." He walked toward the elevator, boots echoing across the metal floor. Human soldiers fell in line behind him without a word. Ryan entered a sleek transport craft that detached from the Leviathan's hull and glided smoothly toward the council station. This time, no guns pointed at him. No fleets tried to block his path. The space around him felt like a freshly cleaned battlefield, quiet, empty, defeated. When Ryan stepped into the council chamber again, no one shouted. No one argued. No one dared to look away. "We are ready to talk," Kritha said carefully. Ryan nodded. "Good, then we begin." He walked to the center of the room. "You lied about our colonies," he said. "You destroyed our people. You hid the truth. And then you attacked us today." Not a single representative tried to deny it. "But humanity is not here for revenge," Ryan continued. "Revenge ends nothing. It only creates more darkness." Some species relaxed, but too soon. Ryan's voice sharpened. "We want structure, order, safety for the innocent, equality for the weak, responsibility for the powerful." He looked directly at the Jorath ambassador. "You have ruled through fear. We will rule through strength," the Jorathian hissed. "Humans want power." Ryan shook his head. "No. Humans take responsibility because no one else will." Kritha nodded slowly. "What do you ask of us?" Ryan raised one finger. "Truth. Another. Justice. A third. Reform." The chamber held its breath. "Humanity will not destroy your empires," Ryan said, "but we will reshape them." Some envoys lowered their heads in acceptance. Others clenched their teeth but stayed silent, because they knew resistance meant extinction. Surrender meant survival, and humans strangely offered survival. Not mercy, not forgiveness, but survival. As Ryan left the chamber, whispers spread across the galaxy. The Leviathan did not destroy us, but it could have. The humans came back stronger than legends. They are not conquerors, they are judges. And far beyond the station windows, the Leviathan glowed with a calm blue light, watching, waiting, ready for whatever came next. Humanity had awakened, and the galaxy could not return to the old ways. Not anymore. The council chamber emptied slowly, like air leaking quietly from a cracked dome. Representatives stepped out one by one, their eyes lowered, their bodies heavy with fear and exhaustion. The truth session felt less like a meeting and more like a quiet surrender. Only Kritha stayed behind, staring at the empty central floor where Captain Ryan Holt had spoken only minutes earlier. She felt something rare. Not fear, not anger, but a strange feeling she hadn't tasted in years. Hope. For so long, the galaxy had been ruled by power, the strong crushing the weak, the loud silencing the quiet, the rich ignoring the suffering of smaller worlds. But when Ryan spoke, calm, stern, unshakable, she heard something no council speaker had ever heard from a leader of a strong civilization: responsibility. She turned slowly toward the wide observation window. The Leviathan floated above the planet, enormous and quiet, its blue lights pulsing like the heartbeat of some titanic creature. It did not move. It did not threaten. It simply existed, a silent guardian with unimaginable strength. Kritha whispered, "What have humans become?" Meanwhile, aboard the Leviathan, the command hall hummed with soft activity. Technicians monitored fleet positions. Orion 3 processed countless diplomatic requests. Officers coordinated with human allies far beyond the Council's reach. Humans had been gone for 2 centuries, but they had not been alone. Their empire had grown in the shadows, forming alliances with dozens of species that fled brutality in the galaxy's core. These refugees now thrived under Terran protection and waited quietly for the moment humanity would return. That moment had come. Ryan entered the command hall, his boots echoing in the vast space. Human officers stood at attention. The massive viewing screen displayed a calm planet below. "Status report," he said. Orion appeared in soft blue light. Enemy fleets remain disabled. No further hostile actions. Several species have requested human mediation for internal conflicts. Ryan smiled faintly. "It begins already." "Indeed. You have become the center of gravity, Captain." Ryan exhaled slowly. "We didn't ask for this." "But we earned it," Orion replied. Ryan did not disagree. Back in the council station, a strange shift swept through the hallways. Smaller races, once ignored, walked with new confidence. The larger empires, once feared, walked with lowered eyes. An elderly envoy from a tiny aquatic species approached Kritha with trembling fins. "Is it true? Humans asked to protect us?" "Yes," Kritha said softly. The envoy's eyes watered. "My world lost half its population to syndicate raids. Humans. Humans helped us when no one else did." Kritha's throat tightened. "Then maybe it is time humanity helps the entire galaxy." The old envoy looked toward the Leviathan. "They are strong enough to destroy us. But they did not. That alone tells me everything." In a private chamber deep inside the station, the remaining leaders of the collapsing empires met again. But this time, their voices were small, their postures weak. "What do we do now?" one whispered. "We cannot fight. We cannot run. We cannot hide the truth." The Jorath ambassador clenched his claws until they bled. "Humans will take everything. You'll see. This is only the beginning." But even his voice carried no real power anymore. The syndicate representative stared blankly at the floor. "They showed mercy. They did not need to. If we provoke them again, we will not survive." "So what? We submit?" the Jorathian growled. A long silence followed. "Yes," the others whispered. "We submit." For the first time in its long and proud history, the Empire of Jorath bowed its head. While the great powers collapsed, the Leviathan sent out a gentle broadcast to the entire system. A soft message translated into every language. "Fear has ruled you long enough. Humanity brings change, not through conquest, through responsibility, through justice, through truth." It was not a speech. It was a promise, and billions heard it. On small worlds once oppressed, citizens cheered. On planets enslaved by syndicate minds, children cried tears of relief. On forgotten colonies where hope had died long ago, people whispered, "Humans returned." And the galaxy might finally change. Later that night, the council gave its answer. A small transport ship left the station and headed for the Leviathan. Inside it, Kritha and several representatives carried a formal declaration. Their hands shook as they held the ancient ceremonial scroll. It was a document no one had expected to create, not in this lifetime. When Ryan stepped forward to greet them, Kritha bowed slightly. "We have decided," she said. Rian waited. "The Council acknowledges humanity's request for truth, justice, and reform. We will dismantle systems built on slavery. We will end illegal expansion. We will create laws to protect vulnerable species. And," she paused, her voice cracking, "we humbly request humanity's guidance in this new era." Ryan closed his eyes for a moment. This was not victory. This was responsibility. He accepted the scroll with calm dignity. "The Terran Union stands with you," he said. "We will not rule you. We will stand beside you." A soft breath escaped Kritha, as if she had been holding it for hours. "Thank you," she whispered. For the next several hours, representatives worked alongside human diplomats to establish a new order. Some pieces were easy to agree on, others would take months, but none argued, none threatened, none lied. The Leviathan floated above like a silent guardian, its presence alone enough to keep the galaxy honest. But while the negotiations continued, Orion 3 interrupted Ryan with a quiet alert. "Captain," the AI said, "we are receiving a new signal from the outer reaches of the Orion expanse." "A distress call?" Ryan asked. "No, a beacon. Old, very old, human in origin." Ryan's expression changed. Something deep in his memory stirred. Orion continued. "The signal predates the frontier wars, a lost Terran expedition, possibly survivors." Ryan stepped closer to the screen. "Location?" Orion displayed distant stars far beyond mapped routes. Ryan straightened. "Prepare a course." "You are leaving so soon?" Kritha asked gently. Ryan nodded. "The galaxy does not need us to rule it, only to help it stand. You will manage what comes next." Kritha bowed. "Then go. Find your lost people. You have earned peace." Ryan returned her bow with quiet respect. The Leviathan slowly rotated, engines glowing like captured suns. Its massive body cut across the stars as it turned toward the unknown. A final message spread across the Council station. "Humanity remains your ally, but our journey is not finished." Then the Leviathan leapt into faster-than-light space, leaving behind a new galaxy, one shaped not by fear, but by truth. And somewhere far beyond the stars, something waited for humanity. Something old, something lost, something ready to be found.